It's that time. The Brightside Chronicles is about to go down with Kerry and Nana. You ready for the show to begin?
Hey, let's go. Let's get it. It's almost showtime. Let's go. Let's get it. It's almost go time. Let's freaking go.
And of course, we start the show with the camera off because, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 18 of the Brightside Chronicles with your host, the amazing Kerry Lewis. And fabulous woman.
AKA the GOAT. No, I'm playing.
Do you want to share with the listening audience why we started the Brightside Chronicles?
So the reason why we started Brightside Chronicles because there's a lot of negativity in the world. Therefore, it is okay to switch up the pace and put some positivity into the world. And just talk about these things that bring people joy and happiness, and just have this little segment of, what, is it an hour?
It's an hour.
Shooting the shit?
Yep.
Okay.
And so today our guest was unable to join us last minute.
It's all good. Life happens.
Nana and I love unexpected moments where we can just rip and figure out what it is that's going on. So if you want to either join the show or comment, we are definitely down for a good conversation. Unfortunately, I still can't figure out why it will not stream to Instagram. So we kind of down there.
On what, Facebook right now?
Facebook, YouTube, and
and
LinkedIn. It is.
Yeah.
But anyway, Nana.
Yeah.
So the Brightside Chronicles.
Correct.
Why do you choose joy over the more pervasive narratives that we see in this world, which is usually division and fear-based?
I mean, naturally, I am actually positive because I just have always looked at things in that light, just understanding that like there's going to be challenging moments in life, but I'm very big about just keeping positive about it. And I don't know, I just like that mindset. I don't like to be like, oh my gosh, like bogged down about how tough times were. I just got to keep up the energy. And I feel like I'm in a better mindset when I'm positive because I'm just like, okay, I got to get, things moving in the right direction. So, but what about yourself?
Well, as we've shared with the listening audience before, I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Last week we came into the show in your bedroom, and now we're coming in from my bedroom.
And it was on your laptop too, because my laptop wasn't working.
Yeah, and not for nothing, but I like my bedroom better because
it got more character. Yeah,
it has so much more.
It's
character.
So interesting. I have all this character, but my bedroom is very like
planned, people.
Yes.
But that's to your point. So interestingly enough, going back to your question, joy didn't come naturally to me for a really long time. And so what I did was I first learned neuroscience, how to hack the brain and reprogram it. And one of the strategies I learned to experience joy was visuals, which is why in my room, there's not a space around
you should show them. You should
that truly doesn't bring me joy. Go ahead.
No, you can go ahead. This is your moment. You can literally walk around with the laptop and be like, yo, look at this. And you should show them that thing right there. That's
that's a lot of work. I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
hey, listen, peeps, I've done it before. I'm sure there's 2 videos out there on me. But no, seriously. So I've cultivated a joyful spirit, and in part I did it through visuals. So having spaces that feel really nurturing and inviting and comfortable for me. So that's super important. And in a climate where there is a lot of fear that is being perpetuated, I know that my power lies in staying joyful, not just for myself and for you as my significant other, somebody I love, and our children, but the world as a whole, because hopefully us choosing joy over leaning into those fear-based narratives inspires other people to give themselves permission to do the same.
It's a very good point that you bring up, because I mean, I notice it even like the days that I am in a great headspace and a great mindset, I feel like I'm probably the most productive. Perfect example, right? Earlier this week, I met this amazing lady she came to the dealership looking to buy a vehicle, and shout out to Yahira for having me help out the lady. But she walked in, and she's like, "Oh, I love your hair, I love your glasses." And I was like, "I love your energy," right off the bat. And I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is my type of people." And she was so just uplifting, and I just had to tell myself, I'm like, "Nah, this is like my type of customer." Like you can tell, like when you meet somebody, and you're just like, "I just vibe with you." So we're just talking stuff, like figuring each other out. She came in for a vehicle, but left with a new friend, and it was just super, super cool because I felt the same way too, because we talked about spirituality, which you're really well versed in. We talked about manifestations, which I absolutely love, and you also have touched on numerous occasions. We even talked about just being straight shooters. You know what I mean? She was talking about how she had came back from a not so pleasant car buying experience from another dealer.
Yeah.
And having to go 40 minutes out of her way to come to her because she read reviews and actually read one of my reviews and didn't know who I was until she met me. And she's like, "Hey, I read your review." And I was like, "What the heck? Like, that's so freaking cool. Like that you just happen to, run up in the right direction." She's like, "It was just meant to be as a universe." And I was just like, I literally believe in that type of thing, that type of mentality. So it was just super cool. And like now she's super excited. I mean, there was a little hiccup because what had happened was it got inspected and they forgot to put the oil cap on. I know. And then so she gets home and she's like, "Nana," I'm like, "I am so sorry. I'm so sorry, but we got it addressed. It's all done." She's happy. She actually texted me like, "Thank you so much for taking care of what needed to be taken care of." And shout out to like the service department and Yahira for being on top of that stuff too. So
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, so hang on, let me pull up a comment.
Somebody got a comment?
Oh, well, how blessed are we that we have my BFF in the whole wide world, Lindsay Height, showing up to support the show. And since Lindsay, commented, first off, we love you.
Let's go. We love you, Linz.
We create our external reality by our internal narratives.
Okay.
And so when we choose joy, when we purposefully and intentionally implement strategies and tools that cultivate more joy in our lives, not only does that help us in the moment to moment, but it attracts more joy to us.
Yes.
And so in one of my times of deep reflective breaking down who I thought I needed to be to become who I am now, Lindsay popped into my life unexpectedly.
I remember.
And it was simply because...
Can you tell us how y'all met too, by the way? Because I feel like the audience needs to know this.
Yo, Lindsay...
Because I feel like y'all be keeping...
Lindsay did a boudoir photography shoot virtually. So in my bedroom, via the computer, I had pictures of me that she took from her.
Oh, I remember.
I like them pictures too. You know why? Because it has my skull bed sheets. Not many clothes on. I'm just saying. I mean, sometimes joy comes in the form of nudity. And,
Hey, I mean...
I just say. So that is actually... and even before that, I met Lindsay Height through Kick It because she was a Kick It instructor.
Speaking of Kick It, tell us about that because I feel like that was when we first met, right?
Oh man,
you gotta tell us about because that was a sense of joy if you think about it too, right? Because that was like you were going from a different phase through life.
So Lindsay is I don't even know an instructor for Kick It, and I loved fitness, so I found Kick It and I did all the exercises, and then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get certified. Oh my God. First off, you have to learn a dance routine. Essentially, it's not, but it's like a 4-8 count, right? And I feel like I put in my video and I got critiqued and I had to go back and do it, and it was really frustrating, but I did it. And it was one of those moments in my life where I was reminded that the thing that I want is not necessarily going to come easy, but if I am persistent and I don't give up and I don't allow the perceived disappointments around how I think it needed to look to stop me, I was going to be able to achieve results. And that has been paramount to me building a global business.
Yeah.
I mean, and Nana can attest for anybody out there, because when Nana and I first started dating, talk about a ride or die.
5 years in August.
I know.
Wow.
I was the general manager. I helped open a
Germany?
multi-million-dollar cannabis dispensary.
Shout out.
They were going through changes in management, and I looked at Nan in the car one day and I was like, I think I'm gonna quit my secure job, and I'm also gonna leave all my assets to my ex-husband so that we can get the girls. And I have no clear path forward, but I know this is what I gotta do. And I never will forget you looking at me. He's like, okay, cool.
Okay,
What
cool.
are we going to eat?
Oh, deadass, I did say
"You
that, right?
did."
Oh,
I was like,
yo, that's
and
mad
truthfully,
funny.
I mean, think about this when we're talking about joy, guys, and who we surround ourselves
That's
with,
mad
right?
funny.
Somebody who believes in you
Yo.
so much that you can literally just say, I'm called to this with no clear path forward. And they just say, I got you. I love you. Now let's go eat. I mean, hello.
What did we end up? Was it Texas Roadhouse?
Probably. Or Longhorns.
Oh, it might have
because,
been Longhorns.
yeah.
Probably might
That,
have been Longhorns.
yeah, I think it was Longhorns. But, I mean,
Got by
okay.
Father Horns, right?
Absolutely.
That's-
And by the balls. I'm just saying,
Bro.
sometimes you need
Hey,
to grab
yo.
them balls.
Whose balls you grabbing?
Yours. I lick them too, but
Hey, yo. Bruh.
hey, if we're talking
Hey,
about
yo,
joy,
yo,
listen,
this one over-
I missed my
Oh, my
69th
gosh.
episode for no particular reason with Yanko, which me being
You
me
were
69,
nah,
I
you see,
was
you gonna play off of the
totally
word.
going to wordplay that, but I was
Nah.
not able to show up. So
Nah.
now I'm just transmuting that energy from number 69 for no particular reason into the Brightside Chronicles.
That's crazy work. That is absolutely crazy work. But we support it though.
But come on,
support it.
you know what?
We support it.
Let's keep it real though. This is the thing. Why is sex taboo? Why? It
You
is
know what
one of
it
the
is,
most
though?
common. It is like of all the things we do, right?
Correct.
We all eat, we all sleep, we all shit and piss, and we all fuck.
Well, so what it is it's because the narrative is always perceived about it should be something that should be kept in the home or whatever it is. Which certain cultures, you know what I mean, it's just that's just who you grew up with. My household, you never talked about that. Like that was never, oh mom, I'm gonna go like clap cheeks or something like that. Like no, that was not happening like that. It was like you didn't talk about that. But like
now, mind you, in my household, my mother whipped out books with pictures on STDs when I was 12 years old at the dinner table.
That's not the birds and the bees, bro. That's the birds and scared the fuck out of me. That's what it is.
Listen, I was like, totally disturbed. But you know, in all honesty, I can look at that and I recognize that it really did set a precedent for my ability to talk comfortably about something that is very natural. Like an orgasm is a beautiful experience. And when we're talking about joy,
Correct.
I mean, honest to God, when we're talking about being in joy, I truly believe that part of being in joy is sharing in that intimacy and that connection and that like climax of orgasm.
Yeah, it's a euphoric feeling depending on, you know.
And let's just be honest, guys. How many of us make really ugly faces when we're orgasming?
Hey, why you got your hand for? You doing sign language now? Put that shit away.
I mean, not ugly, but just like,
Yo, damn, that shit kind of hurt. God damn. Yo, you're slapping bugs
I'm
out my
telling you,
arms.
there's been a time or two
Nah.
where I wish I could take
No,
my
no,
camera
we don't. The
and
world
take
does not
a
need to know what I look like,
Well, no,
bro.
I
Nah,
wasn't
we're not scaring the world, bro. Because then I'm gonna be like, I can already picture it. They're gonna be like, I already know somebody gonna put it on my desk and be like, yo, this is what you look like? And I'm like, hey, yo, sir. Nah, but I feel you on that. Like the whole like having the intimacy conversation, I feel like that's not something that I didn't grow up with that.
Yeah.
I didn't like literally in my household.
You know, here's the thing. Last week I showed you a video on what was it? It was a female orgasm meditation.
Yes.
And no joke, guys. Like it
Yo, the husband dude was like
it had two people witnessing another two people like
fondling in a sense.
Fondling, yeah. But it was all about like that connection
Correct.
and educating the male on the woman's parts. And so I thought it was really fascinating.
Well, you know what I liked about the video was the husband. You know that he wanted like laugh the whole time was going on, and the wife was like super like.
They're not together. They weren't together.
Well, whatever.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like the two participants.
Yeah.
The male participant was very like, you could tell he's just trying to like play it off, like trying to like, yeah, I understand. Like, you know, he wanted to laugh the whole time while he is there.
Yeah.
Because I would have done the same shit. But, you know.
I mean, I get it.
But like, where the female participant, she was like very like locked in and focused to like see what was going on.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, she probably. Anyhow, so you know what? Like.
Well, okay, but like, let's get down to the real truth of the matter. Okay. You're not going to experience joy if you don't ask for your needs to be met. And I just had this conversation with somebody earlier today, and it had to do with work, right? And getting compensated for the output that they give to the company. But the truth of the matter is most people don't ask for their needs to get met. I know that in bed, I've been like, babe, I like this, and why wouldn't I? Because I would rather you say, I'm not comfortable with that. And then I could be like, oh, okay, well, we either have to compromise or I have to find a different partner because that's important to me. But either way, by me having the conversation, I find out whether you can meet my needs or not.
Correct. That's true.
And so often, especially when it comes to the bedroom, people are afraid to have that conversation. I can't even tell you how many women I've talked to who fake orgasms
That's crazy.
Yeah. But they don't even know what that experience is like. And
yeah, I'm sorry, yo.
Well, even me. So I had a crash out moment, right?
I love you use the word crash out, by the way.
That's our kids. It's totally our kids. It's their fault.
I
never used it
getting
before.
you hip. Yeah, I know. I'm like, you use the crash out word. I'm like,
yeah, but like,
cool now, huh?
We had a moment where I had like this aha moment where I felt like, oh my God, I was an inconvenience, right? I took too long. I took too long to come, and I was like, oh my God, I feel bad. And you're like, babe, what are you talking about? And so being able to have those conversations you're able to experience more joy, because we all want to be in service to each other. And part of being in service to each other is to meet each other's needs as best as we can without compromising what feels right for us. I think that is a healthy dynamic.
Well, I mean, I think that's also like the conversation that should be had when you're with someone. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, what are you comfortable with, and vice versa, things of that nature. You know what I mean? Like, there's some stuff that I'm like, I don't know about that, but I get it. Like, you know what I mean? At least you ask, and that's the biggest thing when it comes down to it, just to like put it out there.
Yeah.
You know? So I love that.
I love how Lindsay joining Colts like spawned a whole conversation on the bedroom. That is just so wild and beautiful.
This is how sporadic it is. It's like, it's not scripted. We just go by.
It's not. And I love that so much. So, you know, as I think about joy, back here, I know it's tough to tell because I'll see if I can get the camera to zoom in. Yeah. Okay, besides
your 3 things?
Yeah, besides the amazing picture of Nana and I have
see no evil.
I have see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. And not only do I have it there, I have it on all 4 sides of my room in different sets of skulls. And for me, part of experiencing a joyful life is being very intentional and mindful around what it is I listen to, what comes out of my mouth, and what I bear witness to. Right? And so I was a horrible gossip as a young kid. And particularly within my family dynamics, it was much easier to talk reckless about one of my siblings to another sibling than have a direct conversation. And it's much easier to sit in condemnation of other people. But when I started to really shift my mindset, because I really was passionate about having an experience that felt good rather than sit in suffering, because that's what I had known much of my life, I realized that I was a big part of the problem, because what I was feeding my brain and what I was putting out from my mouth was speaking death into the world rather than life.
So 2 things that I got from that was, one of them, obviously, hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil, right? So I feel like me personally, I've always liked that notion. Reason being that like it was different for each person. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and going back to the what you feed yourself, it's just like the news. Like, you know what I mean? I don't ever watch the news, so I don't really know what's going on half the time in the world. But I definitely know that I'm very big about like taking care of my mental, of what I implement in my thought process. And then obviously speaking things into existence, you can speak negative things into existence just as you can speak positive things into existence. So like that's another thing to kind of keep in mind too. And then I mean the lastly hearing part is like I don't pay attention to all the reckless talk or whatever that's going on around me. I just like I'm very big about just making sure I'm focused on taking care of family, friends, and people that I enjoy. That's a huge thing.
And you've always really truly had that lens of just focusing on, you know, what it is, what your end goal is, and how you want to experience life, rather than get involved in the politics
Oh
of
my
work,
gosh,
or
yeah,
even
no,
the politics
no.
of family.
Me and politics, and I'm not the most politically sound person, so like I couldn't
Yeah, I
speak
don't
upon certain
talk
things about
politics,
that.
but okay, Takira had a couple of comments,
Yeah.
and one, Takira, so for me to cultivate joy, again, anybody who knows my story, I come from a history of addiction, depression, and anxiety, and I rewired my brain to be programmed to find joy. And visually, if that reminder was pervasive in all corners of my space, it was much harder for me to make the excuse, well, I forgot. And I just let it slip. So it was really an accountability for myself, that I wanted to hold myself to the core value integrity that I committed to myself. And I think ultimately, when we're thinking about what joy looks like and feels like, the only person who can truly cultivate it is ourselves.
Correct.
We have a responsibility. Correct. And so figuring out what brings you joy, and then being non-negotiable to chase it. And I'll give you guys a real good example. I had a gentleman reach out to me today about life coaching, right? And he was adamant on how I needed to coach him. And I said to him, there's never going to be a day in which anybody tells me who and how I need to show up in the world. I may not be the coach for you. I may be the coach for you, but I'm going to do it in a way that feels authentic and organic for me, not the way you think I need to be. Yeah. And so that is holding true to my value. In fact, I quit Nature's Remedy when I quit my job, is because I was asked to bend on my core values, and that's a non-negotiable. My core values are strive for excellence. I'm going to push myself and others to lift them up and show them that they are capable of doing greater things than they ever thought possible. Yeah. And my core value is authenticity. And for me, authenticity isn't this cookie cutter Carrie shows up in Skulls, which everybody knows. Authenticity is letting the present moment unfold without limiting it because I'm afraid I'm going to be judged. So, for example, me talking about orgasms, right? There's a time and a place where I'd have been like, nope, that came to my heart, but I'm not going to say it because somebody there in the world is going to get tight that I'm bringing up the word orgasm. Yeah. That's authenticity. And so me holding true to those core values allows me to stay in joy and integrity all the time. And as a result, I can look at myself every night and truly appreciate and love myself for who I am.
Well, I love the authenticity part because actually, shout out to Becky, by the way. She tagged me in Instagram post of another group of people that didn't get the badge for New York Comic Con. But the lady in the video, basically in the video, I wish I could show you. I'll show it to you later. But they generated a lot of traffic towards. So have you seen Ace Ventura, the movie?
Yes.
You know the scene with the rhino and he's in the rhino's butt or whatever it is? They did that as a cosplay. And it generates some traction towards New York Comic Con. So they were like, oh, let's put in that content creator badge. They didn't get it. But she was like, yo, basically kind of in my position of didn't have as many followers, but they were bringing things or people's traction towards New York Comic Con. So it was interesting, but she did a really good idea of posting a video how to just not be down about it, but just understand that it's just something to just kind of figure out, like, how to just keep getting better and go.
Well, that's the thing. So think of it this, right? So you have been denied twice for
Correct.
the content
Oh
creator
for 2,
badge.
baby. Let's get it.
I will never forget watching that documentary of Kobe talking about how he went into the NBA and was missing all those shots, and it was not the lack of being able to hit a shot. He had weak legs, and so he trained and trained and trained. And that's the thing is, instead of feeling you got to feel disappointed for a minute. Like, I'm never going to tell people don't feel your feels, but let that be the catalyst to propel you forward to achieve the result that you desire, not stop you because it didn't happen the way you wanted when you wanted it to happen. Takira, you have a beautiful comment. I'm gonna post it again because I 100% agree. So it's also that's putting up boundaries and standing on them, whether it's family or friends. Shout out, real talk.
Ooh, I felt that one.
You know what?
I felt that one.
You know how you experience joy? Boundaries, baby.
That's
real boundaries
shit. Shout out to you for that.
And boundaries are for yourself. For yourself.
Yeah.
Because so often everybody's like, oh, you pressed my boundary. You pressed my boundary. Well, you didn't hold it. Right? Like, that is true. For example, if I'm hitting on up for money and he's like, babe, I'm going to give you money, but next time I'm not going to give you money. And then I go back to him and I'm like, babe, can I get money? And he gives me money, but now he's resentful. Who's that on, me or him? Him, because he didn't follow through on the boundary that, listen, I made it clear that I'm not willing to do that. And so it is very important to set boundaries. And family are some of the toughest people to have boundaries with, and they're some of the most necessary people to have boundaries with, because they're the ones that will unintentionally, I don't think it's done purposefully, it's just based on habits and behaviors, but they will just push and push and push because that's what they know, you know?
And then I'm pushed back and be like, nah, bro.
Yeah.
Nah, bro.
But it kind of like, but going back to the Brightside Chronicles, which is all about joy, right? Yes. I fundamentally believe and have experienced this many, many times, right? My ability to set a boundary and be very clear with this gentleman today allowed me never to get angry. And I wasn't resentful because I never bent that boundary for myself in the first place to then be like, oh, now I will say, I've worked with another client where I have bent that boundary, got resentful, popped off on them, and then had to look at myself and say, wow, that wasn't on them, that was on me because I got sloppy on my boundaries. And then you know what I did? I stopped working with the client because it didn't meet my needs anymore. But that's a different that's a different thing. But that's another thing. Talking about joy. Things change.
Yeah.
Why do you think people hold so tightly to the way things are?
Well, okay, so prime example is like when you find something that you're really good at, right? You're per se, like, I don't know, you find a job that you're really good at. Obviously, it's going to be easy to be like, hey, let me just keep doing what I'm doing. I know I'm really good at it and just go from there. But like, I don't know. I mean, I think it's the scary part of like trying to get out of your comfort zone is the thing that kind of like hinders people. I know it hinders me for sure, especially like traveling. You already know how I feel about that. Like, and that's something that's always kind of been like just something that just holds me back from wanting to experience life a bit more. You know what I mean? But I think it's just being comfortable in your comfort zone, which kind of does like hinder you from the growth aspect of it too. You know? What's that?
So, all right, I love this. Oh my God, listen, Takira, you can jump on our show next time. You spit.
Book a spot. We need you. Like we need the energy, bro.
So, Takira says that once boundaries were put in place, her circle became smaller, but she experienced more joy and peace. Here's the thing that I'm going to say though that I know to be true. As you get clearer on what feels right for you, you shed some people,
funnel down,
but you attract others.
Funnel down.
You know, I could not be in a relationship with you 10 years ago. There's no, our energies wouldn't have meshed because I didn't have the capacity to receive the love that you offer so generously.
Yeah.
But also and that's the thing is the boundaries that I have allowed me to shed the people that no longer served me, and not in a bad way. These aren't bad people. These are people I love immensely. I just outgrew them. I outgrew them.
Yeah.
And that's the same with clients. Like, I don't get, I'm going to be honest, something you said, and if you found a therapist or work with many therapists that have helped you, awesome. I don't get this whole working with clients for years and years and years. My job is to come in,
gut you like a fish,
examine your beliefs, give you tools, strategies, create a foundation so that you trust yourself immensely. I don't want to be working with somebody for 10 years. I don't get me wrong. If they call me and say, hey, I'm stuck on a sitch, I need help, I got you. But I fundamentally, my job isn't to tell you who to be. My job is to bear witness and love you enough so you can figure out who you're meant to be. And totally in that you learn that you got yourself like you have it for yourself. Oh, we met you at the Big E.
Yes, remember it was when we took the picture. Yes. We're gonna have to meet up again this year because I was SpongeBob. Do you remember? And then else, it was you guys are super awesome. I still remember that. I didn't put two and two together, but I was like, yo, I'm pretty sure that name, like, because she was with her husband and daughter. And it was probably like we're heading back from somewhere, and I was wearing the SpongeBob fit, and we took the picture. And husband had the New York cap on.
I know because I trust me. I know exactly.
Yes.
Listen, I have a good memory. I'll tell you what. I'll have him pull up as Mickey next time.
Oh, we have to for this year.
Yeah.
Or we getting crafty with these cosplays right now.
So here we go. We got Melissa Bigwood.
Okay. Shut up, Melissa. What's going on? What's going on?
So here's the thing.
Love the energy.
So boundaries are super important, but we are meant for expansion and growth too. And this is where that change piece came in that I started asking you about. You know, ask Nana. And in the time that we have been together, I've taught myself how to write with my left hand, literally. I have I've done a million things because I'm always willing to try new things. And so for the listening audience, I did go to a con. I kayak. I do singing. I did pottery. Like for the listening audience.
Oh my gosh, that's right. There was a
pottery tip who feels isolated, right? The reality is we owe it to ourselves to give ourselves new experiences. I am a huge proponent of date nights by ourselves. My clients know.
Take me on a date?
No, by myself. By myself. I love my date nights. My clients know. I mean, Nana and I have a really beautiful relationship, I'd like to think.
No, I mean, I'd like to know.
Okay, yeah. But you know what? We have the best. We have the best time alone.
Dolo.
Like I literally the other day, I'm sitting there hanging out in a kayak for 3.5 hours. I ended up FaceTime and I'm like, look what I'm doing.
What was I doing that day? I forget. Like, was I just?
You were cracking out. You needed a depressed day.
No. Oh, that was Sunday. Because I was getting ready for the karaoke thing.
So. Yeah. Okay. So to Kira, to your question, I didn't, and this is why. So, I again believe that real authenticity, not this oversaturated BS crap of. I'm sorry, like that sounds judgy, but there's a lot of people touting authenticity, but authenticity is what feels. What are you inspired to do in that moment? So, if I want to sing a little song. Or do a little dance together. No, but like, so I've never written a list of things. I've just let it flow. Now, there are certain things that are non-negotiables. Before I transcend into a different experience, I will know how to fly a plane. I will be a global motivational speaker. Nana and I will travel the world helping underprivileged communities experience more joy. So those are big goals, but like in terms of like writing with my left hand or things like that, I just in the moment got inspired to do it. And instead of saying, oh, I can't do that, I'm like, let's see how this goes.
Yeah, I mean, I give you credit for that because like that's not an easy feat to do. Like to learn how to like rewire your thought process to be, okay, let me do this now. What's the question? Or what's the
So
comment?
just started going on dates by myself. My goal
Good.
is to eat by myself somewhere. Nana
Fucking get it.
does it.
Fucking get, you know, those are the best moments because you just sit with yourself, right? You're
Or
literally
you meet new people, because
correct.
we always meet new
My
people.
thing is like, so like there'll be times where I'm like, babe, I'm just gonna go to like TGI Fridays. She's not a fan of TGI Fridays. I love TGI Fridays because it's just sentimental value. Great. But I'll just sit there and it's not that I'm even on my phone. I'll just sit there, order food, and just enjoy being in the presence of myself because
Yeah.
I understand like, oh man, like this is just me. And I'll people watch if I want to because that's just kind of like what you can do when you're just by yourself. But it's one of those things where I think too many times a lot of people get nervous about, oh man, like if you go eat by yourself, you're quote unquote a loser or whatever. I'm like, that's so like archaic thought process of just BS that we're being fed to.
So, and I'm not here to impress upon
Correct.
my beliefs to anybody. I really am not.
You live your best life.
Yes, but I will say from my understanding, whether you believe in creation, consciousness, God, Allah, whatever, right? And I've studied world theology. I've also studied quantum physics, so I know that there is an unseen energy there. Science has been able to prove it. Anyway, to your point, to Kira, I fundamentally believe when we allow spontaneity to come about, we are in co-creation with source energy, because if you think about our universe, it's expanding always, which is indicative of we are meant for expansion. If you look at people in suffering, why are they suffering? Because they are contracting. They're closing in. They are getting smaller. Their life is shrinking into the, husband and 2.5 kids with the dog and stuff, not going out and trying new experiences. But people who are joyful, who are really, they're curious, they're willing to get egg on their face and try new things. But
who's getting egg on their face?
Me, man, I've had egg on my face. I've also had, I won't even say. I know you know what I would say. Anyway, but no, but seriously, if the universe is expanding, then we're meant for expansion. And as we expand in the current moment, we're co-creating with creation. I believe that.
I support it though. I feel like it's a great notion if you think about it, right? So like I don't know, it's kind of like you play video games, right? No, I'm just kidding. But you know what happens was in a video game when you first start up,
I played Mario.
Anyhow, so what it is in a video game, you start off with like you build a character and you don't have any skills or attributes are very low, right?
Yeah.
Then as you play through it, you start picking up certain things. You are expanding your character. You are therefore building up the character's, attributes and skill level. So like I play a lot of NBA 2K, which is a basketball video game. The guy starts off, he's horrible. He can't really score anything. But as you play those games, you get better and better, and it's just teaching yourself how to keep expanding. And then you get to the point where you're like level 90 or whatever it is. At that point, your creative character is like on the top tier. He can compete with NBA players. That's what when I play 2K and stuff like that, and I'm okay at it. But then at that point, that's because they've expanded. They didn't shrink. That's what she's talking about. The whole shrinking thing is like, I've seen family and friends who, and it's not to badmouth them or anything. It's just, I want to see them do better, but then sometimes it's just different mentality of like I'm doing con stuff. That brings me a sense of happiness and joy. I'm impacting lives. I'm getting outside my comfort zone. I didn't even know about cons like this for like years. I knew like one con and I went to it, and this was like 2019 or whatever it was. I don't know. But now I'm like getting well versed in it. So when I go to these events, it's just like I'm meeting up with so many people and I'm getting to keep expanding that bonds and like the memories I have with people too.
Yeah.
So that's just my take on it.
Yeah, and that's why, allowing things to unfold. And think about this. We all desire things.
Mm-hmm.
But we want it to look a certain way, and if it doesn't, we say no to it a lot, and we're not aware of it. And when I learned, right? So again, I do not subscribe to religious ideology. I have read a ton of spiritual scripture though. And in the Bible, it says, ask and you shall receive. Right? That's true. But the problem is most people in our overthinking mind expect it to look a certain way. And if it doesn't look a certain way, then we actually reject it. And so I always encourage people, and I will give you a great example. I work with my clients on this. If Nana extends a gift to me, I don't know, a bracelet or whatever.
You have one up there, by the way.
I know I do. And I say no to it, right? Oh no, thank you so much. You're so sweet. You didn't have to. I don't want you to spend that money. You don't have to help me out with that. I'm literally telling the universe, no, I don't want the thing that I'm asking for, because it doesn't always look the way you want it to look. And so it really is just being open to receiving without having an expectation around how it looks, you know?
Yeah.
And that's super important.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't even think straight. I'm like, I need to drink
go,
water. No, you're good. You're good. I'll go grab some water.
Yeah.
Sorry. You're good.
I got this.
Oh, safe. Good looks.
There's no ice in it though, you know.
Bro, this tastes weird. That's Nah, I'm gonna get my water here. Bro, what the heck did I just drink? No, I'm playing.
You drank water.
Yeah, all right.
Room temperature water.
Yeah, that's why.
Anyway, so going back to joy.
Oh shit, room temperature water is different.
I know. Room temperature water brings me joy.
Why you just staring at me like that?
Because it brings me joy.
Okay. You know what? That's the bright side of life when it comes down to it.
I know.
Okay.
It is.
Okay.
All right, so what you got?
Okay.
You spit some knowledge about joy.
No, I mean, you know what brought me joy this week? Really? What? It was riding my bike.
I love
riding my bike, yo. Okay, so y'all, this is a preface. So I bought this bike from a customer. This is
last year.
No, it's like a couple months back. It wasn't last year.
It was in 2024.
No, the red one.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah.
Yo, I feel like it hasn't been that.
It has.
Are you dead ass?
Yep.
Okay. Anyhow, I bought this in 2024. It was probably like December then. I'm guessing. It couldn't have been though.
It really was.
It was sunny out when I went to go pick it up.
I'm telling you.
Anyhow, so I bought this bike from a customer. Super, super cool lady. And it's been in my garage since 2024.
Thank you. I just needed to move my arm.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
But since 2024, this is not working for me.
Yeah,
right now,
it was working for me.
Anyhow, so the bike I bought in 2024, and I see in my garage, I'm like, yo, when it gets nice outside, I got to make sure I ride my bike. So thankfully, I brought it to the dealership. They put air in my tires, and then I take it to Elm Park. Did like 10 laps around Elm Park, and it was so just free.
Yes.
Like it was just the air was blowing my face, and I'm just like enjoying nature. I'm not like on a treadmill. It was a different form of cardio that my body wasn't used to. Funny thing is on the ride around, the seat starts acting up, and I'm just like, bro, the seat literally dropped as I'm sitting down. I'm like, oh, this is awkward. And then I'd sit down and it went this way. And I'm just like, I'm just gonna just have to hover above it. But I was not letting that ruin like the moment. That's what I mean. Like the sense of joy. I was just like, I felt like a kid. Like, you know, when you first learn how to ride a bike and you're just like, oh my gosh, I can go here now. And it just felt like everything just opened up, endless possibilities. And obviously I had the car, but like it was just cool to just ride the bike around, and then just seeing families enjoy their time at the park, people getting out of church, you know, things of that nature. It was just awesome. Birds, you know, just chirping and cars driving by. It was just a great moment. So,
but I want to highlight something.
Correct.
Your ability to articulate birds chirping, families getting out of church, cars passing by, that speaks to you being in the present moment.
Yes.
And aware.
Yes.
And, you know, that is the greatest gift we give ourselves, is we experience joy in the here and now. And your overthinking mind, you know, what Rebecca said, when I had family, it was like this, right? It gets us in this suffering state. And that's what all of the great thought leaders mean when they're like, be here in the present moment. Take a deep breath in and smell, you know, the scent of the grass, or in Worcester's case, you know, the nastiness,
Yeah.
but whatever. It's actually not bad.
It's
I
not
mean,
bad.
I do love
Air
me.
quality's not bad.
I'm a woo girl.
Meanwhile,
But
you're out in Connecticut.
I know
and it smells
I'm
like
in. Oh yeah,
Anyhow.
listen, we have a poop truck that drives by my house.
shitty situation,
Literally,
right?
it's a shitty situation because like for days on end
Cut
in the
shit out.
spring,
They gotta
they
cut
are
the shit
like
out.
it's rough.
They gotta cut the shit out. I had to make sure I got that little ad lib in there. Cut the shit out. And it's
But
Yo, fucking
but
wild.
that's the thing is, to your point about going to the park riding bikes, what is one of my favorite things to do?
I mean,
Swinging.
oh yeah, that's right. You know that we did that a while back.
I know,
actually.
we went on a date. One day we were bored at the house. I'm like, babe, you want to go swing
Swinging.
on the swing in the
Swinging.
park? And
Kicked a couple kids off, took their spot.
we kind of did. I mean,
Say
they
it.
got off and we just kind of
Nah, nah.
hijacked.
They didn't need it that bad.
I mean, we enjoyed it.
Nah.
I had a great old time.
No, but it was cool because I hadn't been to Elm Park really since what the scavenger hunt that we do. You know what I mean? So like it was, and that was in April. But like it was just so cool, and I had that in my thought process because I got out of the gym, and I was like, you know what, I want to ride the bike. That was like taking care of my mental that day. Like it literally, gym, ride the bike, and then I had the karaoke and the cosplay that evening, which was also super cool. Which is always a great time, just running into like friends and stuff like that.
So I want to ask you something.
What's up?
This would be a really good
Segue?
topic,
Okay.
for the listening audience, because I was just talking to an individual earlier who's like, I'm just too busy to take time to, and in this instance it was to nurture themselves through swimming or grounding. It's
Room temperature.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
She thinks it is.
So
it is though, right?
it is.
Okay.
So
Tastes better though.
how did you, or how do you combat this narrative that's very pervasive in American culture particularly, but elsewhere too, that there's just too much to do for you to enjoy, like to go to cons, to go ride a bike, to jump on a swing, to walk away and have fun?
So there's this lovely device that we all have over here. It might be like $1,000 depending on where you get it from, and there's lovely tools inside that you can use, right? So there's a little thing called notes, and there's a little thing called a calendar. This thing is essential to your life. What it does is that it helps you organize yourself. So if you are a 2 weeks in advance person, you can book yourself out 2 weeks in advance. Some people aren't at that nature yet, but it's okay. Some of us are a month in advance. So therefore, you have these little tools.
I have
that can
to
help
book my dates with Nana out like 2
Yeah.
months in advance, people.
But truthfully, what it is I'm big about making sure, okay, babe, this is the time frame that I set aside for you. This is what we're doing, yada yada. Because especially with her, I'm like, she's like, what are you doing this day? I'm like, let me check, because I don't ever want to like feel like I'm neglecting her, and I also want to make time for, you know, things that I also enjoy that replenishes my soul at the same time too.
Ooh,
So that's like one of your
yeah, but it's so good.
Yeah.
I don't want to neglect our relationship, but I also don't want to diminish what feels good for me, and that is so important. So for anybody who works in corporate America, I learned this trick a long time ago when I was a leader, because as a leader of many people, it's really easy to get depleted because you're combating with different personalities and then expectations. I marked off in the calendar meeting on Fridays for an hour. And you know what that meeting was? That was carry time. My employees were no the wiser. And in all reality, that time was crucial for me to be able to show up present and come from a place of response rather than reaction, because I nurtured myself. So I literally carved out time in my calendar, which was basically a date with myself, but within my work calendar. And they just assumed that I was on a meeting with whomever, and they were none the wiser. And it was so good. But the other thing is again, childlike wonder. We are all kids at heart, guys. We really are. We are meant to play. We're meant to go grab bubbles and blow bubbles or jump in a puddle. Nan and I have gone walking in the forest when it's snowing. Or
that was cool.
That was fun. That was cool. And
before
that's
the
the
bugs
thing.
came out.
I think because Nana and I are so open to just whatever life offers us, we meet the coolest people. We have the most unique experiences. Like the stuff that happens to us, you can't make up.
Some, like, I mean, think about even the Wiz Khalifa concert last year.
Oh my God!
Or even like the rave this year at Anime Boston. You know what I mean?
That was a little. Oh, yeah, that was super cool.
Or even the Patriots game. Mm-hmm. Remember when we got to meet the mascot and it was his niece was in the audience?
Yep.
Like, and we ran to Chris too at the hotel.
Yep. So shout out. So the hotel lost power for the night. So we
that shit was kind of scary as fuck though.
But we met this wicked awesome dude, Chris.
Yep.
And then
very, very good dude.
We got the hotel stay for free.
Wild.
And we still had a good time. And I think that's the thing that goes back to if we release our expectations of how it needs to look and we allow ourselves to experience whatever's happening, even if it's crappy, right? Like, Nana and I, we experienced 4 miscarriages 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Sounds about right.
When there were moments of deep sorrow and sadness. However, because we released the expectation of what that needed to look like, we had the best. Do you remember being in the operating room when I was going in for the DNC? We had the best time with the nurses to the point where a year later, when I went in for a different operation, the nurse came down from a different floor to come hang out with us.
Yo, that was cool stuff.
That was so cool.
That was so cool because you're like, yo, and I mean, I guess we're pretty recognizable at this point, right? Like, because you have like the cool ass tattoos, and I just have colorful hair, so like,
and very bright glasses. That's what attracted me to you in the first place.
I just think that's so, like, if you think about it, that's actually pretty dope. It is dope.
But that's why joy can be cultivated. And this is something, Nana and I talk at length about this because Nana comes from a place where he's very much always been pretty optimistic and comes from a joyful disposition. But even as a young child, whereas I struggled with addiction and struggled with depression and struggled with anxiety. So up into my 30s, joy was very fleeting. It was not a pervasive theme in my life. But because I studied my brain and learned how to hack it, I implemented so many strategies that I changed the neural pathways in my brain. Guys, we have neuroplasticity, which means your white matter can change. You can regroove, re-imprint your brain at any time, right? And so I did that. And then because I knew I had a responsibility to myself. I was the person who either created my suffering or I created joy. And as soon as I started creating joy, I had all these crazy experiences that I look back at my life. And I said to my twin sister a few weeks ago, I want to live a long, fruitful life. I want to be in my 90s and hundreds and whatever living. But if I unexpectedly ceased to live after today, I would have zero regrets.
I mean, that's a great notion, though.
Zero, hands down. I have great relationships with my daughters. Honest, messy. We're not perfect.
Nope.
Me and my daughter, you know what's so funny? So Nana's talking about a bike ride. Billy, our youngest daughter, started a new job and we wanted to ride the bikes to see how long it would take to get there. But both of us had our periods, so we feeling spicy. So we jump on the bike, it's hot. And like my daughter says something, and I all of a sudden pop off, and I'm like, I can't do this right now. And so I rode back, and I go in my room, and she goes in her room. And then I'm sitting in my meditation chair, and I just start laughing. I'm like, oh my God, that was so extra. So I was like, babe, whenever you're done, you can come in. So she comes in and sits on my lap and she's like, Mom, no bullshit. I came into the house and I started laughing. I was like, that was the dumbest fight ever. I was like,
yo, what the fuck?
But the whole point is I've cultivated the relationships that I know I'm worthy of having.
Yo,
I've cultivated experiences after experiences
That's some
after
funny ass shit.
experiences that have filled my cup with endless moments of joy. And, you know, I had like, what more can somebody truly want when they're just that deeply connected with the human spirit?
I don't know. Like, I think that's where you reach a point of like, you just, I think you just know what you want in life at that point. You know what I mean? Like when you're like in that state of like flow of like things are going accordingly. Like that's like, you know, perfect example if I'm at the gym and I'm getting a good workout, right? And weights are moving smooth and I'm just like, yeah, I'm listening to music. I'm like saying hi to my friends. That's flow. That's flow to me at the gym. Like you're like, oh shit, I'm on my A game. You know what I mean? And I mean, I think that's what all centers cooking. That's like one of the best feelings.
It does. It feels just it's so delightful. And I mean, think about it. Flow was you and me meeting.
Okay. You can tell the audience how that happened?
You can't script it. So I live in Connecticut, but old habits die hard. So I brought my car into the gas station in Worcester to go get an inspection sticker, and I love to read, so I'm outside reading a book, and all of a sudden Nana pulls up and comes out the car, and he has his signature red glasses on with a big signature watch. So I said, yo, I like your look.
Yellow hair.
And anyway,
McDonald's.
We hit it off, and a couple months later he shared with me his part of that story, which is what?
So basically, like, I went to go gas up a car with my friend Danny, and I get out the car and I'm like, yo, who's that? Like, she's sitting there just tired as fuck, and I was like, she's kind of looking badass, like literally sexy as hell. And I was like, I gotta say what up because I don't know if I'm never gonna see her again. That was the first thing that came to mind. I was like, I don't know, and I didn't even know that you lived in Connecticut. I was just like, I gotta shoot my shot once I got an opportunity. So I get out the car and I'm like, I'm gonna go say what up. Then she says hi to me, and I'm like, hey, I was about to say hi to you real quick, like that. And then I remember we were talking for like a brief 3 minutes, and I was like, yo, you got a card or something? Because I had to make sure I got the number. There was nowhere I was leaving there without the number.
You asked for my business
I did, right? I did.
Yeah. And what was our first date?
It was at the gym.
Yeah,
it was at the gym. Buddy. It was at the gym.
And so going back to Kira and boundaries, when I got divorced, one of the non-negotiables, well, I have a couple, but one of the non-negotiables was my next partner had to be somebody who would work out with me. And so lo and behold, there's Nana. Another non-negotiable was it had to be an individual who did not consume alcohol or cannabis or drugs. And not because I judge anybody who does, because listen, I've spent years doing that. There's no judgment.
You did it for
me.
But
the life that I have created for myself now, I don't want that to be part of it. And I know that being in partnership with somebody who abstains from that stuff can make it that much easier for myself to continue to stay true to what feels right for me.
Speaking of, I just want to just throw a little plug in there, as in shout out to also anybody that's been going through tough times, whether you're dealing with mental health, alcoholism, things of that nature. Know that you have people to reach out to. If you need to reach out to Carrie, obviously she's there. If you need to reach out to myself, feel free to reach out. Just want to throw that out there.
I love that.
I just felt like it was only right to.
Well, and here's the thing, part of being in joy is we're able to hold space for people who are in suffering. Mm-hmm. Now, I do want to leave a caveat.
Okay.
I will
What time we got?
We got 2 minutes.
Oh, damn.
I will hold space for you. And I will bear witness to you, and I will really nurture you in your suffering for so long. But if you want to wallow in suffering, I'm not the person for you. I want to help you take action to pivot out of that suffering. And I think sometimes people don't mean to, but they get addicted to their suffering. It's easy to keep telling themselves a story about what happened, what didn't go wrong, what health issue happened, instead of, okay, this is what I'm, experiencing how do I move forward. And a beautiful example of that is Al Richards, because Nana and I have a dear friend Al who found out unexpectedly that he had to lose his leg, and within a month he was back at the gym. He took his fake leg,
cool ass videos.
yes, he took his fake leg and used it as a cup holder. Right, that's called making lemonade out of lemons, baby.
Yo, Al was such a freaking, that was beautiful. I was like, bro, that's wild. That is wild.
Yeah. All right. So with that, we got a couple more comments. Yeah. I'm gonna just say, I found Joy a couple days ago flying a kite. Yes.
Oh shit.
I
we were talking about that Hampton Beach. Remember we were looking up and it's like,
I love that for you.
I gotta try that shit out one time.
You're right. Nana doesn't need drugs. He certainly is high on life.
Oh damn, who said that?
The gentleman gamer.
Oh my gosh, that's my guy, Mike DiPietro.
Hold space for people in suffering, not people who are insufferable. You know, that's dicey, because I'm going to say I currently work with somebody in active crack addiction, and there are moments when that individual could be really challenging. But I set my boundaries without judgment and let them know that when they can come back and be more present in kindness, or at least not so aggressive, I will sit with them, because we all need to know we're loved. And whether you're in active addiction or whatever, you deserve to be seen and held. Oh my God. And then Rebecca, you guys are truly an inspiration.
Oh, dude, Rebecca,
we appreciate you. With that, guys, thank you so much for joining this episode of the Brightside Chronicles, coming at you from my bedroom this week.
I had to say that. I had to say that one time.
Anyway, until next time, if you like this, please share.
Until we meet again.
Follow. Join the conversation.
No, we actually have Mike DiPietro coming up a couple weeks from now.
Ooh,
I can't wait. That's gonna be a great conversation.
It is gonna be a great conversation.
Well, I mean, whoever's on here is a great conversation.
It is. All right. Much love to you guys.
Gang. Bye.
Enjoy.